Welcome, Dallas Fort Worth. It's your man Mark T. My man with Mark T, the voice of victory. Thank you so much for joining in today with this segment. It's my third show and I'm really excited. And I was thinking today is football season. And it's the end of football season. And I'm looking at it's the beginning of the year, but the end of football season. And a lot of people have made their New Year's resolutions. But the one thing I thought about with the football season is the Carolina Panthers have lost one game so far. They're going into the playoffs. Nobody is undefeated. There was only one undefeated team in the history of the NFL. That was the 1972 Miami Dolphins. Everybody wants to be undefeated. Everybody wants to win the championship. Nobody likes to lose. But there was only one undefeated person ever to live on this earth, and that was Jesus Christ. So nobody is perfect in what I'm saying. Don't live with the one loss. Keep in mind the victories that you won. Live with victory. Everybody has 24 hours to be the best version that they can be. And that's what I want for you. So join into this segment with me. I got a dynamic guest. You're going to enjoy her. She's one of my favorite people. And we'll be back. It's Man Up with Mark T on Dads and Fathers.tv.
Walking into a fantastic clean office. Or coming home to a fantastic clean home. Hi, my name is LaMonica, CEO and founder of Fantastic Four Cleaning Services, providing fantastic services for you because that's what we aim to do. Give me a call at the office at 469-730-3054.
Welcome back, Dallas Fort Worth. Welcome back, world. We're worldwide. We're not just in Dallas Fort Worth, but I always have to say hello to my people because I'm from the dirt of Oak Cliff. That's right, I'm from the dirt and I'm proud of it. Thank you to my people in Hawaii that's listening, people in Atlanta, South Carolina, Nevada, Las Vegas, San Francisco. Thank you for all the support that I've gotten with my show. Thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to be before you because I'm very proud of the fact that I started with a radio show and it's advanced to a TV show. So make sure you tune in every week, Thursday night at 8 o'clock to check out my show. I have dynamic guests, and today my guest is a very special person to me. She is not a slouch when it comes to what she does. It's Vonda Bailey. Vonda, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Mark?
I'm great. I appreciate you taking our time to come in and be a part of the show. You were a part of my radio show, and after I interviewed you, you instantly became one of my favorite people.
Well, that's good to know.
And I like the way you do what you do. I like your work ethic. I like your effort, and I like the fact that you don't give up. And I guess that's why you got the name Supermom.
That's right.
So when you hear me say Vonda, I took that from that artist, Monica. She shout out her name. So
right.
You hear me shout at you in the courthouse, I'm not going crazy. But I'm glad to have you here, on my radio show and making I said radio show.
TV show.
I know, I'm going to grow up one day. I'm going to get that right. But I'm glad that you're here, because I really want people to, a lot of people heard the show and they were really impressed with what it is that you do, what it is that you overcome, what it is that you did to gain the victory in life. And I love young people, and you're a young person and you're from Dallas and you're from DISD and you had your trials, but you overcame them. And the purpose of me having people like you on the show is to inspire, inform, and uplift. So I was really impressed with your story. So as we talk about informing, why don't you tell the audience where you're from?
I am from Dallas, specifically Oak Cliff, Texas. I attended all local Dallas schools. I attended Adele Turner, Elwell, Carter High School, undergrad, and for my master's I attended the University of Texas at Arlington, and I received my law degree from the Thurgood Marshall School of Law in Houston, Texas. I do believe that my background has definitely afforded me the opportunity to be where I am today. I think it's taught me a lot of things such as endurance, temperament, and tenacity, just to never give up and to keep going and always believe in your dream and just never stop going, because the saying about the mustard seed, very true. You only need this much faith, and you can do whatever it is. So if you have this much, you can move a mountain.
Yeah, and like you say with the mustard seed, the whole thing about the mustard seed is what's inside it.
That's right.
What produces from the mustard seed. It's the same thing with popcorn. You know, everybody loves popcorn, but unless you put it in the right element, unless you put the understand what type of stress you have to put on it, you put it in that microwave, and all of a sudden it pop and it becomes something totally different.
That's right.
You know, so even though you started at A.L. Turner, Atwell, Carter High School, went on to college, it was something in you that
That's
had
right.
to come out, that had to be formed to make you into the person that you are today. You know, and that's the thing that I like about you is, you know, you speak about your faith. And, you know, never despise the day of small beginnings, you know, because the oak tree was once an acorn.
That's right.
And, you know, and so many people look over that acorn and they just kick it around, but you can't kick that oak tree. You know, so now that you where you are, you know, people can't kick you around. They got to respect you now. And, you know, and I like your work ethic. I always, you know, I follow you on Facebook, and I'm always seeing you, you know, going in and out of the courthouse and posting, you know, your status that you helped this person and you helped that person. And, you know, I'm really impressed with that, because when you try to instill work ethic into young people, so many young people have excuses, and excuses just won't get it. You know, you can blame a lot of people and a lot of things on why you don't have anything, but you have to hold yourself accountable.
That's right. That's right. As the saying goes, excuses are tools for the incompetent to build monuments of nothingness.
Nothing. Yeah.
It is so true. Like, you know, growing up, my parents used to always say, stop making excuses, stop making excuses. And it used to annoy me so bad, because I didn't understand what exactly it was that they were saying. But now that I'm older and I have my own child that I'm raising, you know, I definitely understand what that is. And, you know, even with my clients, you can't come to me with excuses. You have to have some sort of solution, because if everything was built upon an excuse, I wouldn't even be sitting here before you today as an attorney. You know, there was a lot of things I had to overcome from even just getting into law school. You know, the first, like I told you on the radio show, the first couple of times I got turned down for law school, but I just would not accept that. I just kept going and I kept going. I was like, well, maybe it's my LSAT score. Oh, well, maybe it's this. And I was like, well, maybe Vonda, it's you. You need to work harder. So I worked harder. I ended up achieving my goal, and, you know, it's been going good ever since.
Because that person in the mirror, you know, you can see what you want to see, you know, but at some point in time, you're going to see the truth in your reflection.
That's right.
You know, when you do self-evaluation and you say, you know what, maybe it's me. And then you start working on you, then you start to be productive, because now you start to say, you know what, nobody else is going to help me but me.
That's right.
You know, then all of a sudden doors start opening, because there are clues that are left to success. You know, if you wanted to be a successful attorney, then you wanted to go to law school, you had to seek people who've gone to law school. How do you go to law school? How do you get the money? How do you get, and there are always people in your path. You can look over them, you can look past them, you can think you know, but until you utilize everything around you, I mean, you just really running in mud. You know, it's a hard sprint, but you're going nowhere. Instead of just saying, you know what, let me add somebody.
Right.
You know, let me be humble enough to say, you know what, I don't know. You know, and then all of a sudden, that door of success will open. But the door of success is always opened by a key. And the
That's
key
true.
is always smaller than the door.
That's true.
So until you're ready to look at the small things, then you can't open that big door.
That is very true. And you said something very key. You know, I think a lot of young people are afraid to put themselves in a position to be vulnerable, you know, and to say, I really don't know, or I need the help, and could you guide me in this direction? Because we're young, so, you know, when you're young, you think you're inevitable, you know, everything is inevitable, nothing is going to happen to you, you're immortal, that's the word that I was looking for. You know, everything is going to always go the way that you foresee it to go. And it doesn't necessarily happen like that. So when it doesn't happen like that, you know, you're ashamed. You don't want to let anybody know that this is what happens. But that's never been my life. Like, I've never been that person to be afraid to say, I don't know, or I got that wrong. Like, I just absolutely have no idea what it is that this is asking me. But I've always been that person to venture out and see what it is that I needed to get. I know that this person has the answer. You know, Mark Tolliver has the answer. I'm going to go to Mark Tolliver. I've never had a problem with doing that, but it takes a lot for young people, even older adults sometimes, just to seek out that help and to say, okay, this is exactly what it is that I need in order to reach that next level. And I don't understand why people don't make the connection that you're not just born and created one day and you know everything. Because you don't. You know, if we knew everything, there would not be a reason for us to have different levels and everything. You wouldn't have CEOs and COOs. You wouldn't have managers and assistants and stuff like that. Everybody would just be CEOs, right? But it doesn't work like that. Everybody's position and role is very important, and it's up to you to get out and seek that information when you don't know it, and to allow yourself to say, you know what, this is something that I don't know. Let me go to the person that I do know can help me with it. And I just think in today's society, a lot of people just have a problem with doing that. Even attorneys, you know, just to be afraid to say, hey, you know, I'm a small business owner. You know, my business is struggling. I need help with how to bring in the money for my clients. When I get the client, how do I make sure that they pay on a regular basis? Like certain things like that. You have to be open and say, okay, this is my problem, I need help. Because if you never do, then nobody will know that you need the help.
Well, we live in a day of self-exaltation.
That's true.
Everybody want to be balling.
Yeah.
You know, so nobody wants to say, hey, I need help in this situation, because like you say, now everybody's talking about you.
Right.
See, a lot of people disguise concern with gossip.
Mm-hmm.
They want to hear about, well, Vonda said man, what's going on with her business? When Vonda just asking questions, because you know what, I'm about to come up.
That's
I'm
right.
about to get out of this situation. I just need a little information. You know, information is so important.
Very important.
You know, but people don't seek it. Even when we're in school, you sitting in class, you acting like you know, and you won't ask the teacher because you don't want the other people in the back of the room saying, man, Mark, dumb. But you sitting up playing dumb.
Exactly.
See, you can play dumb, but you can't play smart. You know what I'm saying? See, if I'm playing dumb, I can go to the board, teacher call me, I'm like, I don't know, go to the board, I really know, I can answer it.
Right.
If I'm playing smart and the teacher asks a question, I can raise my hand because I don't want her to call me, because everybody else raising their hand. I say, she ain't gonna call me. But then she called me and I don't know, and I'm trying to play smart. Oh, it's gonna show.
You have to produce it. you know, and it's interesting you say that, because, you know, when you were talking about everybody want to play like they're balling, yeah, until it's time to pay taxes. Like, I pay taxes faithfully, quarterly, and believe you me, there is nothing balling about having to fork up $30,000 at one time to pay the IRS. But that goes back to being humble in yourself and knowing what it is that you want to do, what God has predestined you to already do, and stay focused on that and not get caught up in what society wants you to do and what everybody else thinks you should be doing. You just focus on you and you'll be absolutely fine.
Well, and that comes down to accepting the responsibility. You know, people see you and they say, well, Vonda's a lawyer and she's being successful and she's doing her thing and she works for herself and she makes her own hours. But they don't understand what goes on behind the scenes.
Have no idea.
They don't understand how you got to put in those extra hours. If somebody called you at 2 o'clock in the morning, you got to answer that phone. Now, you're the boss, you're the CEO, you can make a decision on whether to answer that phone or not. But then you might wake up in the morning and say, missed call. Oh, that was a call I'm waiting on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so people look at you and see, because everybody is not made out to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is a risk taker. You know, and then all of a sudden, when that risk falls, you know, you got to pick yourself up.
That's
true.
true.
Because you can't sit up and say, oh, woe is me. No, you can either get back on that saddle and thank God for free enterprise, because it allows you to fail, try again, fail, try again. So a lot of people see the story. You know, well, I take that back. Let me switch. A lot of people see the glory, but they don't understand the story.
Right, right. I always say, you know, I don't smell like what I've been through. And that is so true. Because people always see that finished product. They never see, you know, what you actually have gone through. When I leave here, I'm actually going back to my office. I live in my office. The receptionist that sit at the front, she was like, Miss Bailey, you're still here? I'm always at work. If you won't catch me in my first office, I'll be in my second office. I'm somewhere always thinking, because as an entrepreneur, that's your job. A lot of people don't know the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur. A business owner is somebody who just runs a business. That's all they do. But an entrepreneur runs the business and they're trying to make moves on top of their business and do other things to, keep their kids from having to go through what they went through.
Yeah,
I want my son, right. I want my son to, to pick up and say, okay, my mom was a lawyer, I'm gonna take this business over, and then his kids and children, on and so forth, they can say, okay, we're gonna make this a family business, and this is gonna be what it is. So entrepreneur, your mind is constantly going. You rarely get sleep. I had to buy a new bed because I wasn't getting any sleep. Like, I had to buy a new bed. I had one of those Tempur-Pedic beds now.
Yeah.
So now as soon as I lay down, I just get, even if it's 4 hours, I feel so relaxed because when I wake up, I know my mind is constantly on go mode.
Well, let me say this. Let me interject this. You didn't have to buy that bed you wanted to. But we're going to come back. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back. This is Vonda Bailey. She in the studio with us today. I'm very proud today. You're on the TV show with Man Up with Mark T, the voice of victory. I'm going to get that right. We'll be back.
Have you ever had a question related to child support, divorce, CPS? Call the Attorney General or maybe an attorney and they just gave you a runaround? Where do you go to get help? Contact Dads Fathers of Texas. Yes, they are child support specialists. Dads Fathers of Texas can answer your question, help file paperwork, and help find a family law attorney. Dads Fathers of Texas, making child support simple.
Welcome back to Man Up with Mark T, the voice of victory. We're live in studio with Vonda Bailey, straight out of the courtroom from Carter High School, on the set with Man Up with Mark T. What's up, Vonda?
What's up, Mark?
Man, we've been talking and really inspiring hearing you talk. Like I say, after you appeared on my radio show, you became one of my favorite people. And I just like your work ethic. I like what you bring to the table, and I've been knowing your family, so I'm cheating. I know your people even before I knew you, because your mom Cynthia, your dad Charles, when I be at the football game, right, and they be like, my baby on the field, and I'm like, I see her, So seeing you grow up and now seeing everything that you go through, and you made a statement, earlier in the segment that you don't smell like what you've gone through, and that's deep because we go through so much, and people just don't really understand that a lot of the things that we go through for other people.
That's very true.
So that when other people come across our path and they start complaining and they start murmuring and they start crying and they're really broken and they say, well, I don't, then all of a sudden we speak to them and they look at us and say, wow, I wouldn't even look at you and know that you've gone through that because you went through some things, on your way to becoming an attorney, going to law school, college. Just tell us about a couple of challenges that you faced, with becoming the lawyer and the person that you are today.
Well, Mark, there are so many, but most notably the fact that it took me 3 times to get into law school. And a lot of people wouldn't know that. They'll see the success. Oh, Vonda's doing good. She opened up a second office, but it's like, it took me a few years to actually get into law school. I was turned down, but I never gave up because I knew essentially, I felt like that's what God had for me. And I knew that from a little girl. I mean, you want to go back and forth, I was the person to go back and forth with. I just knew I was going to be an attorney.
Yeah.
And I just could not give up on it. And then, even after that, prior to going to law school, I had my son. That was a big challenge, having to make the decision to leave my son behind, actually, my first and third years of law school, to actually pursue my career and what I wanted to do, because it was so challenging. The first year, you're trying to get acclimated to your schoolwork and trying to figure out what it is that you are going to have to do and what's expected of you as a first year law student. My third year, I took the bar early. So it was a lot of studying. I had my son with me the second year. That was extremely hard because I was class president, I had my son, and I was working a part-time job at a civil law firm too. So it was very, very challenging, but I was able to overcome those things, and I just think it was all worthwhile.
If you've been into an automobile accident, I'm sure you're worried about medical bills, lost wages, and getting real compensation for your pain and suffering. But relax, I got you. I'm attorney Roderick White, and I've been fighting insurance companies since 2002. It's what I do, it's all I do. Never settle for less. Call us at 214 or 817, I got you. That's 214 or 817-446-8968.
disappointment, that getting up the next day, hey, I got to do this over again, when everybody want to get it done the first time.
Yes.
You know, nobody wants to deal with the results of the disappointment. You know, and you had to do that not once, not twice, but 3 times.
I did. I had to do that 3 times, and that's why I worked extremely hard. When it was time for me to sit for the board exam, I put my everything in it. Like, people would say, you know, that are in law school is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And that is extremely true. Like, I literally cruised through law school until that last year. I literally put my everything, my all, into studying for the bar exam. I studied 16 hours a day. I was on a very strict schedule. I did not get a lot of rest. I had a 15-minute break after every 4 hours of studying. And within that 15-minute break, I had to eat lunch. I FaceTimed my son. And, you know, I walked around the school for 15 minutes when I was studying at the law school. But that's what I felt was needed in order for me to get where I wanted to be. Thankfully, I did pass the bar on the first time, and I took it early. A lot of my classmates did not. That's not to take anything away from them, but everything has its season. I just felt like God made me work extremely hard to get into law school, that it was like, okay, Vonda, when it's time for you to become an attorney, I'm going to make the path a little smoother for you. Not saying that it's going to be easy, by no means, but I'm going to make it a little smoother for you coming out of it than it was for you getting into it.
Right.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah. So now when you wake up in the morning, you know you equipped. You know, I can handle whatever.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel. Even if it's something I don't necessarily know, I read up on it as much as I can. I ask others for help, but when I go into that courtroom, it's just me. So I have to use my best judgment based on the knowledge and the rules and everything that I've read up on to say, okay, I can do this. And if, you know, it comes out being the wrong answer, then I know I've learned something when I return and go back and have to do it again. So everything that I went through, law school, high school, all of it has equipped me for this very moment. And it has prepared me for exactly what I'll be doing for the rest of my life, which is helping people. You know, it's trial and error. You know, you're not going to always get everything right. You're not going to always make the best decisions, but in the end, it's a learning experience. So when you go on to the next level, you can say, oh, okay, I've been through that once. That particular way didn't work for me. Let me try this different way.
Right. And that's impressive because, like you say, you know, getting into law school, attempting to get into law school, and finally getting in. Then all of a sudden you come back with the decision to what you're going to do with your baby. You know, and how hard is that?
Oh, it was extremely hard.
You know, because so many people can use that as an excuse for, well, I can't do it right now. You know, but that decision to make that sacrifice, you know, is so great because we're looking at the sacrifice and not looking at, hey, if I make this sacrifice now, then the end result is going to be, you know, where you are now.
Right.
So it's hard to look at that. You know, so how hard was that to, you know, look at your little man and say, you know, baby, I'll be back. Mama will be back.
Well, for me, the decision was not as hard because my family is so supportive. I think had my family been not as supportive and I didn't feel like I can depend on them, I think that decision would have been a lot harder. But because they were so supportive and my son was so young, when I went to law school, my son was like going on 2 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So he was so young that it did the reverse of what I thought it was going to do. I thought it would be like my son thought I was neglecting him. He would think I didn't want to be there for him. But when he actually came with me my second year, and he had to come to the library, and I had to study, and he had to study too. He had to bring his flashcards, and we put little apps on his iPad so he could also be learning too. It definitely made an everlasting impression on him. So now when I talk to him, it's amazing how he remembers little things like, Mama, remember when I went to the library with you? Remember when you were in school? And I think that is so amazing that he remembers those little things versus, you know, growing up and saying my mama was not there for me. She left me with my grandparents. So, I mean, for me, the decision was not hard. A couple of my classmates that have come after me have actually reached out to me and thanked me for making that decision because I made the transition easy for them because they were like, I had to leave my child behind because I had to study for the bar. And I think that's the ultimate sacrifice as a parent, whether you're male or female. That's the ultimate sacrifice.
And you got to keep your eyes on the prize too.
You do.
You know, because how easy is it to say, you know what, I can't do this, you know, because it gets hard. It gets hard. So, you know, that faith, like we talked about, you know, that will, you know, that no excuses, that I am going to finish what I start.
Right.
You know, because a marathon is not easy. You know, I was talking to my daughter the other day about comparing life to cross country running. You know, when you're running cross country, everybody starts at the same starting line, but nobody chooses the course. You know, some you're gonna have to run over hills, rocks, twigs, run up hills, down hills. Sometimes the road is gonna be straight. Sometimes it's gonna be curved. Sometimes you're gonna run through puddles. Sometimes you gotta jump over holes. But you have to finish.
That's right.
You know, and along the way, there are gonna be people cheering you on. You know, there's gonna be your coach saying, "Come on, you can make it." You know, just like when you were in law school. You know, you had your parents saying, "Hey, we proud of you." You know, you had some of your friends saying, "Wow, how are you doing this?" You know, so in a lot of people's eyes, when you finished, and now you're able to say, "I did it," now all of a sudden you become a hero. You know, because all of a sudden it's so easy to quit. You know, one thing I tell guys that I mentor, and the majority of the guys that I mentor are athletes, talent is common. It's wasted every day. The simplest things will cause people to quit. You know, any excuse you can find. Well, they didn't like me. Well, my shoes didn't fit. You know, whatever. You know, but success requires no alibis. Failure permits none.
That is so true.
You know, you don't have to tell me about being successful. You did it. But if you came to me and you wanted to tell me why you quit, I don't want to hear that. You know, so being here with you today and hearing your story, and understanding everything that you came through, and understanding that, you know, everything, all the efforts that you made, the sacrifices that you made, every late hour that you studied, every 15 minutes you walked around the school, you know, they allowed you to become a hero in so many people's eyes, you know, and I guess that's why they call you Supermom, you know, because of what you were able to do. Because like I say, leaving your kids behind, that's a hard one right there.
It was extremely hard, Mark. Like nobody, unless you've actually done it, you will not understand like how they feel, especially being a single parent. Like my son's dad still to this day is not involved in his life. You know, it's an unfortunate situation, but I don't make any excuses for it. You know, I just pick up the pieces and do what I have to do as his mother. You know, eventually his dad may come around, but that's not my concern. I just want to do what is going to be best for my son as of today, so he can look at me and say, you know what, wow, my mom made a lot of sacrifices for me.
Yeah, and you'll never know how a young man really appreciates that, you know, because, you know, when you know, your mom is always the first person you love. You know what I'm saying? You know, and my old man was never in my life, but there's no excuse for it.
That's right.
Why when I hear young men say, well, my dad wasn't there and this and that, man, I got 5 sisters and my mom raised me. So it wasn't an excuse for me to say, well, I got all sisters. They wasn't hearing that.
Right.
You know, I can't look in the stand, okay, my mama there, but my dad ain't. Old dude ain't coming. So I got to keep on and saying, you know what, I can only be the best version of me that I can be. And now when my kids see me, then my kids say, wow, daddy, yeah, so you can't have an excuse.
Right.
Don't make that excuse. It's up to you. Because it's really up to all of us.
Right.
You know, we all have 24 hours to be the best person that we can be, to make ourselves proud. Because like you say, looking in that mirror, you know if you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
That's right. And that's the only person at the end of the day that you have to answer to. That's why I don't understand how people get so caught up in what other people have to say about them. Me, quite frankly, the people who matter to me are the people that could make me feel a certain type of way. And those are the people that are the closest to me that know I can do better. Not the ones that know absolutely nothing and just taking what they see on a Facebook post or, you know, just seeing me out and making a presumption about me. They don't know anything about me. You know what I mean? But the only person who it matters to that you're telling the truth to is yourself. Because once you get in those 4 corners and you're having to look at your expense report, you're having to look at what it is that, you know, your income to debt ratio when you have student loans or, you know, you have to pay for things for your child, the only person who the truth matters to is you. Like, whoever you're worshiping, you know, whether you worship God, whoever, he already knows what the truth is.
Right.
But it's up to you to face that truth for yourself and know that you owe it to yourself to make the best of the 24 hours in a day. And it's interesting that you said that. I was looking at an interview the other day with the rapper J. Cole. J. Cole, and he was talking about, you know, along the same lines of what, you know, it is that we're talking about, you know, making the best of your 24 hours in a day, getting out there and making things happen for yourself and not necessarily depending on others, not making excuses. You know, I feel like you owe that not only to yourself, you owe it to your children that come after you, you owe it to your community, because everybody is looking at you. It goes back to what you premised off of, you know, with you doing something for other people.
Right.
And I don't think people really understand that. Every day that I get up, I understand that every move I make, every step is to help somebody else that feel like, you know what, I can't do it. But even if it's a Facebook post, you know what, Vonda says she can do it, I know I can do it.
Right, right. And so many people don't understand that the definition of success. They think that it's a car and a house and, oh, they dress well, this and that. Man, you are so far off the mark.
Yes, those are bills.
You know, yeah. See what I'm saying? You know, you got to look at life realistically. If you're not helping somebody else to be better, then your life is vanity.
You're not living.
Yeah, I mean, because unless I can help somebody, then guess what? If I go through the whole day and I don't help anybody, then you know what? I really had a really unsuccessful day.
You did.
You know, I mean, because
it's very true.
I don't care if it's opening a door for somebody. I don't care if somebody pen falls on the floor. Let me get that for you. I don't care if I can just tell somebody a joke. And they say, man, thank you. You made my day. I can go through I went through the through the line at the grocery store the other day, right? Me and my wife. And the lady, she was looking down or whatever, and she was like, okay, your bill is so and so. And I said, let me get one of those cornstarch machines. You know, the cornstarch machine. And she looked around and she said, and she looked at my wife, and I said, I'm just messing with you. You know you can't sell me no cornstarch machine. So she started laughing, and then it just like brightened up her day.
Right.
You know, and I'm just this little bitty things that you do. So when people start talking about success and they start looking at somebody's money, I don't care how much money you got, you still faced with the decision of what you're going to spend it on.
That is so true.
You know, because money takes flight. You know, spend that money wrong. And then all of a sudden, you know, the money you was counting on don't come through on time.
Yeah.
And you know, and see how happy you are at that time while you waiting for this money to come through because you didn't manage your money right. You know, so it's like say it's so much to life that people miss out on. You know, because people are focusing on the wrong things. And I think if people would just take their time to just really be honest with themselves and say, you know what, I want to be the best version of me that I can be.
Right.
And, you know, and I just want to be a good person. You know, I don't necessarily have to be in charge of this. I can help somebody. I don't necessarily have to make this decision. I can ask somebody. You know, just being in a position to just have a fulfilled day.
I agree. That's why I ask myself every morning. I remember one day, my older sister, she overheard me in the restroom. She was like, are you talking to yourself? And I was like, no, I'm praying. I pray out loud a lot of times. And, you know, I always ask myself, are you living or are you existing? It's a big difference because people exist every day. You just get up and do the same thing. You go to the same job. You do your 8, 10, 12 hours, however many you do. You clock out and you go home. You get up and do the same thing over again. Living is what you're talking about, trying to make a difference in somebody else's life. I know one way I do, I like Starbucks. That's like my guilty pleasure. It never fails. Like the car that's behind me, I always will pick up the tab. I say, hey, whatever they have, let me get theirs behind me. Doesn't matter how much it is. I just do it because I feel like that person behind me, I don't know what they're going through. I don't know them personally, but just that act of kindness could make the rest of their day. It could even make their week because you never know what the person behind you is going through. Right. And because I know that that's not my situation, I just want to pass that on to somebody else.
Yeah. That's Vonda Bailey, y'all. So the next time she's in the line at Starbucks, I'm gonna be behind her, and I already know what I'm ordering. You know, but that's my girl, y'all. Hey, you're on Man Up with Mark T. We're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back, and we're gonna close this thing out. Thanks for joining us today on Dad and Fathers TV, and we're gonna be back.
SBA Investor Ready Business Plans, written in 21 days. McDaniel Consulting is recognized as being business plan writer since 2001. Dallas Morning News, New York Times Magazine, and Women's Day Magazine attest to these facts. Business plans, 214-349-6564. That's 214-349-6564 or www.mcbusinessplans.com.
Welcome back. What a dynamic show with my friend Vonda Bailey. Vonda, tell people what you do. We didn't really get into that. Tell people what you do for a living.
I am an attorney. I run a general practice law firm. Majority, I say about 85% of our firm handles family law cases related to child support, child custody. We also do adoptions as well and divorces. But we do have some criminal cases, personal injury, and a lot of business clients, you know, business formations and things of that nature. But essentially it's a general practice firm. Depending on your situation, we may be able to help you. It's a lot of minor things that we do. Most people don't think they need help with. You know, you get evicted from an apartment and it was wrong for anything like that. We do demand letters. You know, there's a lot of things that our firm does to help the general population that most people don't think that they need a lawyer for.
So how can people get in contact with you if they need your services?
Okay, well, you can contact our office at 469-523-1430. We have 2 office locations. For more of the southern side, we have an office located in Cedar Hill. And then we also have an office located for people that are more northern and in the Collin County area, near the Galleria area. If you recall that main number, 469-523-1430, we can get our address out to you. My email address, I can also be reached there. It's at Vonda, VONDA, Bailey, BAILEY, law, LAW, at outlook.com. And, you know, just give us a call for any of your legal situations because there's no more drama with Vonda.
I heard that. Anybody want to say hi to, you know, out there in the, you know, the TV land and the Metroplex?
Well, I definitely would always say hi to my son, Austin Charles Bailey. You know, I love you very much. Hello to my family, all of my supporters who have supported me throughout the years. I am very grateful of you all. Definitely a hello to Thurgood Marshall School of Law, because if it were not for you taking a chance on me, I would not be sitting here today.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's Vonda Bailey, one of my favorite people, you know, doing her thing in the community. And just remember, man, just tune in every Thursday night at 8 o'clock on dadsandfathers.tv. We're looking to reach a million men this year, along with their families, you know, so hopefully the men that we reach, they'll reach out to somebody, and they'll reach out to somebody, and we'll have a viewing audience of 3 million people. This is information that you can use. We want to bring people into the studio to create resources. We're talking to people, real life people, real day-to-day people that are doing great things in the community and that you can reach out and you can touch. So thank you for tuning in to Man Up with Mark T. I'm Mark T, the voice of victory. So remember, tune in every Thursday at 8 o'clock on Dads and Fathers TV network. It's a new network. You don't want to miss it. Don't despise the day of small beginnings. We are a little seed right now. What is it? What kind of seed is it?
Mustard seed.
The mustard seed. But you know that mustard seed produced a great plant, and we're going to be great one day. So we want you to be on the grassroots with us. So thank you for joining in. Check out the whole network and my show. Thank you once again. We'll see you next time. Peace and a long life.
Family violence. How can we stop family violence? First, we must stop court-ordered visitation violation. Yes, each day hundreds, if not thousands of children are taken. Some are not seen for months, even years. And sadly, the kidnapper is the mother. Yes, mothers are moving out of town, out of cities, out of state, leaving fathers lost, confused. Most become excessively stressed. But All are looking for solutions and answers. Some, however, are labeled as deadbeat because they stop paying child support. Sadly, some do snap. How can they find solutions, answers? Visit IGotMyRights.com to start your peace and serenity, to reconnect with your child, to become a father in their lives. Yes, victory over visitation can help find options and solutions, stop family violence, and give you an opportunity to be a father. IGotMyRights.com is a great place to start to gain victory over visitation. Your secret to ending family violence.